working on that new road. $1 and a dime a day.
Bob Dylan calls Ramblin' Jack Elliott the king of the folk singers. Mick Jagger says the Rolling Stones were Jack's #1 fans. Paul McCartney acknowledged learning a song from Jack, who said he could tell because he sang it with all the same mistakes I did. The Wall Street Journal dubbed Jack the sonic grandfather of just about every scruffy-voiced folk singer in the Western world. And in 1998, awarding him the National Medal for the Arts, President Clinton said this:
"In giving new life to our most valuable musical traditions, Ramblin' Jack has himself become an American treasure."
The boy who would become Ramblin' Jack was born Elliott Charles Adnapose in 1931 in Brooklyn, New York, or what Jack likes to call a 45,000-acre ranch in the middle of Flatbush. From the first time his parents took him to a Madison Square Garden rodeo, that's what Jack wanted his world to be. In 1948, he ran away and joined the J.E. Ranch Rodeo, where a rodeo clown named Bramer Rogers taught him his first guitar chords. When his parents circulated a flyer about Jack, the Cowboys talked him into going home to finish high school. He began to hang out with other folkies in Washington Square, where Tom Paley put him in touch with Woody Guthrie, then living in Coney Island. Jack became Woody's Plato, accompanying the songwriter on his last travels before Huntington's disease confined him to a hospital. Jack learned so much that Woody said, "You sound more like me than I do."
I ain't got no home, I'm just a rambling around. A hard-working rambling man, I go from town to town. The police make it hard wherever I may go, and I ain't got no home in this world anymore.
Woody was the first folk singer that really excited my imagination, Jack says. I liked the way he told everything point blank, without any fake melodrama like the pop singers. But Woody's most valuable lesson was what he refused to teach. When Jack asked Woody to show him a guitar lick, he said he asked that of Leadbelly, who'd replied, "You can steal whatever you want, but I'm not giving it away." This distilled into a powerful discipline for Jack, a rare, almost photographic ability to learn music simply by listening. And not just the songs, but the idiosyncrasies of the guitar style, vocal nuances, and regional inflections. He became the songs he sang.
Come all you old-time cowboys and listen to my song. Please do not grow weary, I'll not detain you long.
In 1955, Jack went to England and fell smack dab into a bubbling revival obsessed with American folk music. Suddenly, Jack was the one everybody wanted to imitate. He invited his banjo chum Darrell Adams to England, and they formed a duo sometimes called the Ramblin' Boys. That's one theory for Jack's nickname. Another is that when Odetta's mother saw him at a party, she said, "Oh, here comes that Ramblin' Jack Elliott." But she was referring to how much he talked. For the record, Jack prefers that version. He loves a good story. In 1961, Jack returned to an American folk revival in which he was already a legend, the shadowy figure who was Woody's last sidekick. To them, he was a myth before he was a man. He'd become a brilliant performer in Europe. All the voices inside him had become his own. He was a superb musician, crackling with sage wisecracks, tales of the road and the legends he'd known. His homecoming created such a furor that his first American concert was at Carnegie Hall, and producer Izzy Young said it felt like God coming down from the heavens. Jack met Bob Dylan at Woody's hospital, and they became friends. It was soon obvious to everybody that Dylan was imitating Jack. People were trying to get me to get mad at him, Jack recalled in his daughter's wonderful film, The Ballad of Ramblin' Jack. But I thought it was a great compliment. In fact, the way Jack had successfully hybridized himself may have been the most influential thing about him. His roots as an urban middle-class intellectual were always evident beneath the cowboy persona. To become a genuine folk like Woody was unattainable. But to be born Elliott Adnapose and make yourself into Ramblin' Jack? Well, that's a star they could reach. Sales of cowboy hats soared in Greenwich Village and Harvard Square. None of that changed Jack very much. Like folk music itself, he kept rambling whether or not the spotlight was on him. He sang when they wanted him, cowboyed or worked on boats when they didn't. His high-profile moments always seemed to be somebody else's idea, from touring with Dylan's Rolling Thunder Revue to his Grammy-winning stint with Red House Records. Perhaps Jack knows that stardom grows under bright lights, but legend grows in shadow. Asked how he sees his legacy, Jack rambles off into the difficulties of playing guitar in a truck, crossing the Alps in a motor scooter, and teaching Dylan to play harmonica. Then he says, "I guess I'm a catalyst, a carrier of some sort of story." It suggested he's like a connecting rod between tradition and what music has become. Jack says, "Connecting rod, I like that. Reminds me of how a steam locomotive looks with those rods moving back and forth, making the big wheels turn. Yeah, I'm a connecting rod."
Living while in another city, just about to go insane. Sounds like I heard my baby Louise used to call my name. Whoever comes back to stay, spend another brand new day, walking with my baby down by the San Francisco Bay. Hey, walking with my baby down by